Bloodbath, 17 shot, 7 dead, including 2 children in bloody rampage in Westmoreland. Good evening and welcome to Primetime News on air and online at onespotmedia.com. I'm Archibald Gordon.
And I'm Doreen Samuels. Also this evening, crisis. The Security Minister's assessment of the Westmoreland shootings.
Overwhelmed, Savlamar Hospital on the brink after the bloodbath.
Approved. The Senate follows the House in extending St. James state of emergency.
Help us please send Catherine businesses call for leniency as curfews impact sales.
And in business news, up again. Gas prices climb to a 4-year high.
There's also sports commentary and weather in the primetime package. But before the break, the feedback question.
Do you think the government should implement a state of emergency in Westmoreland? Give reasons for your answer.
Share comments online, facebook.com/Television Jamaica and tweet at Television Jam.
Stay with us. Primetime News returns after this break.
Welcome back to Primetime News.
Special welcome to folks on onespotmedia.com.
17 persons were shot yesterday in Westmoreland as gang violence continues to wreak havoc in Grange Hill in the parish.
7 have been confirmed dead.
The police have since increased their presence in the area.
TVJ's Anthony Lugg reports.
A voice note with the sound of explosions ringing out in Grange Hill on Tuesday. Residents were sent running for cover as rival gangs traded bullets. The first attack, a drive-by shooting, occurred shortly after 8 in the morning. 24-year-old O'Dane Drummond of Godfrey Street, Westmoreland was killed while 3 other persons were shot and injured. This was the springboard for 3 reprisal attacks between yesterday evening and last night. Shortly after 6 in the evening, an unidentified man was shot and killed while 4 others were injured in Top Lincoln. Gunmen from that community then returned to Sterling, where the lives of 2 children were cut short. Reports indicate that the police found the bodies of Sheldon Morgan and his 2-year-old son Sheldon Morgan Jr. with gunshot wounds when they responded to reports of explosions on Godfrey Street just before 9 o'clock. Morgan's motorcar was also set on fire. Gunmen then went to the home of 39-year-old Nadine Rowe and her 10-year-old son Nicoy Bourne. They were also killed. Her brother recalls the harrowing experience.
We heard some explosion about 2 yards away, and the next 5 minutes at my mother's house I heard some knocking, police, and I learned from my mother that my sister came forward and said that I'm not sure if it was a police, so I won't open the door. And right about there they start to kick the door and some loud explosion followed. Later after I learned that my sister succumbed to some gunshot wound and also her son.
The 7th body was found as police combed an area in Fullersfield where 3 houses were firebombed. An occupant of the yard spoke with our news team.
Peer gunshot all over. All when the fire blazing, gunshot. We are afraid of coming out because we cannot come out in gunshot. You know, we open our back door when we realize we hear gunshot down the bottom. That is when them shooting up the guy down there when he run into in life. We come at the front because we want to help. And what we see happen, none of us couldn't go there because the whole place in flames.
The shootings in the area also impacted schools. The police have since stepped up patrols in the area. Anthony Lugg, TVJ News.
In the meantime, the management of the Savannah Lamar Hospital says the institution has been overwhelmed with gunshot cases.
In the morning, we had 5 people coming in. 1 died in the department, 1 was brought in pronounced. But then by the time we had finished dealing with the casualties, the patients from in the morning, we got another call that 5 more persons were coming in. And at the same time when those persons were coming in, 4 bodies were brought in to be pronounced. So it was just an endless stream all day. But the one that really took a toll on everybody was the 2-year-old who got shot and was in the department. The look of devastation on the faces of the staff and patients was really telling to how it had affected them.
Meanwhile, Caribbean police commissioners say gang violence is the biggest threat to the region's security. Tackling organized crime is the focus of the 33rd Annual General Meeting and Conference of the Association of Caribbean Police Commissioners in Montego Bay, St. James. TVJ's Vashon Brown is covering the conference.
Gangs have been wreaking havoc in different communities across the island, but President of the Association of Caribbean Police Commissioners and Bermuda's Police Commissioner Michael De Silva says gang violence is not just a Jamaica problem.
The most significant issue facing law enforcement in our communities is the rise of criminal gangs. Across the Caribbean, gangs, gun violence, and drug trafficking all go together, and they represent a common and significant threat to many of our local communities. The Caribbean has a disproportionate number of homicides that outpaces much of the rest of the world, and we must reverse this trend before local gang violence transcends into violent extremism.
Mr. De Silva says during the conference, the regional commissioners will ratify a 5-year strategic plan. The strategic plan, he says, will guide and drive Caribbean police work to ensure that all resources will be used to reduce violent crime, increase border and cybersecurity, and enhance police legitimacy. Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of the Jamaica Constabulary Force's Crime and Security Portfolio, Selvin Hay, argues that the lottery scam is a central part of the country's gang problem.
The proliferation of gangs, more so in the western end of the island, is fueled largely by the money that is available through lottery scamming. They purchase high caliber firearms that are capable and, based on our experience, creates mayhem across our cities.
Director of Public Prosecutions Paula Llewellyn says the collaboration between investigators and prosecutors is critical in prosecuting gang cases.
Let me emphasize that very often, as with any prosecution, yes, you can have technology, yes, you can have DNA if it's relevant, but ultimately you need to have persons who are prepared, whether because they have had a road to Damascus moment and having been a former collaborator or conspirator with members of the gang, they are now prepared to do the right thing.
The conference is intended to strengthen regional integration and to develop strategies for law enforcement in the Caribbean. Vashon Brown, TVJ News.
More scrutiny and criticisms of the state of public emergency as the Senate debated an extension of the security measure in St. James. But even as opposition senators supported the measure, they questioned its efficiency and the government's crime plan.
Having passed the motion for an extension in the lower house, the government on Wednesday sought the approval of the Senate to proceed. This it got, but not before a rigorous assessment from the opposition. Opposition Senator Damian Crawford says while the government insists the extension is beneficial, the state of emergency is not as efficient as touted. He says it is not helping the country's overall crime problem.
Trelawney, 75% increase. Westmoreland before yesterday, 16.3% increase. St. Mary, 100% increase. Portland, 150% increase. This is 2018 January to April versus 2017 January to April. This is the period before there was a state of emergency.
He says the rest of the country is being cheated.
I am saying to Augustown, demand your pound of flesh from the national government. I'm saying to Westmoreland, demand your pound of flesh from the national government. I'm saying to Clarendon, demand your pound of flesh, because there's a clear correlation between the availability of police in their areas. The police said in Westmoreland yesterday they were incapable to respond.
The opposition was also peeved that, despite promises, no anti-crime plan has been presented.
If you have this crime plan and you are satisfied with it, say loudly and clearly to the public, we have a plan, we are implementing that plan, we are satisfied with the outcomes from the plan, and so we don't need neither to tweak it nor to develop another plan. Say so.
Government senators pointed to the capture or death of criminals and the thumbs up from business operators and residents in St. James as measures of success. Leader of Government Business, Kamina Johnson-Smith, also noted that while sensitive crime-fighting information cannot be disclosed, the reinstated Vale Royal talks will include the opposition.
We have also invited the opposition spokesperson on national security to attend meetings of the National Security Council. That way, he can not only hear firsthand from the heads of the security forces, but he can directly give input. Mr. President, we are confident that given the sensitivity of information management in the fight against crime, that this is a good balance of information sharing at this time.
The motion for the extension was passed with 16 approvals and 5 absences. Herman Green, TVJ News.
Our top story today, 7 dead and 10 nursing gunshot wounds after rival gangs go on a rampage in Westmoreland. Still to come, Spanish Town businesses plea for changes to curfew under state of emergency. And in the business day, up again, gas prices reach 4-year high. We'll be right back.
On hold the plan to rally the public to take to the streets to demand a crime plan from the government. Mr. Knight announced that the plan in the Senate when the government was first seeking an extension of the state of emergency. During Wednesday's sitting, Government Senator Matthew Samuda again expressed concern about the suggestion.
And I heard Senator Knight say he may rouse up the people if a crime plan is not forthcoming by the end of April. Well, we're in May.
The plan was to have it next week, Tuesday, but I'm reasonable. And I'm going to tell you why I'm going to have to call around. And persons who were given the task of mobilizing in various areas, I'm going to say to them, hold straight.
However, Mr. Knight says that call has not been totally abandoned. He says he is now in support of the opposition leader's new call for a plan to be presented in 3 months.
I don't care now who said what now. If by the time you come back, there is no crime plan, then the plan that I have is going to be put in place.
Back to the Grange Hill killings now. The Westmoreland police say at the heart of the attacks in the area is conflict among rival gangs. During a tour of the area today, the National Security Minister, Dr. Horace Chang, described yesterday's incident in which 17 people were shot in Grange Hill as a crisis. TVJ's Vashon Brown was on the tour and now reports.
A tour by National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang and Police Commissioner Major General Anthony Anderson following last night's deadly shooting in Westmoreland.
Now I'm standing in one of the houses that was firebombed in last night's deadly attack here in Westmoreland. Now the residents here say the incident has left them in fear. The National Security Minister is promising increased police presence.
Member Pat has been speaking to me, and we will assess the entire situation, and the government will do whatever is necessary. Security is not something we just speak off the hat on. I'm here as the Minister of National Security, but whatever we do, we'll consult with the members of Parliament and we'll consult my colleagues. But Westmoreland is facing a crisis. We're going to treat it like that. It's a terrible situation. We have to take action to correct it, and whatever is necessary will be done.
He says the government will be working to stop the mayhem in different parts of the island. The police commissioner says the police will be conducting a number of operations to deal with the issues in Westmoreland.
This is a bad situation. A number of even kids have been killed, but it's not unique to Westmoreland. It's just really bad today. What has been happening, it happened in St. James, it's been happening across the country. And we know that there are some really bad people around, and that they're willing to put themselves at great risk just to carry out reprisals or killings. There's no shortage of guns that they have, no shortage of ammunition, and there's certainly no shortage of will on their part. It means that our response has to have equal resolve.
The Member of Parliament for Western Westmoreland, Dr. Wickham McNeil, was also in the area today. He says something must be done about the violence in the parish.
This is a problem that has been growing over the last 2 years. We had a 24% increase in murders in 2017, and already for this year we have a 16% increase. So this is a problem that has been building. I've been in discussion with Minister Chang and previously with Minister Montague that what we need down here is increased security personnel. We need increased mobility for the police force. We possibly need soldiers as well.
Vashon Brown, TVJ News.
In the final part of our look at the impact of the state of emergency on night activities and businesses in St. Catherine, we hear what alternatives persons have been resorting to for enjoyment and earning, as well as suggestions on a compromise they say will help the police better address crime in the area. TVJ's Krista Campbell reports.
Since the state of emergency came into effect over a month ago in the St. Catherine North Police Division, business people and those involved in entertainment events say they've been hard hit. But the people say they've been finding alternatives.
The people are trying a day rave, wherein they start from 12 o'clock and they would go until 9. But sometimes when they reach 6, 7 o'clock, they are locked off.
At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Job's Lane in Spanish Town is transformed into a bevy of activities. Vehicles parked on both sides of the roadway and music blaring in the background. This is what a day rave looks like. The same elements as a regular party, except it's not at night time.
Traffic backing up in the area, police arrived on the scene, threatening to shut down the party unless vehicles were removed from one side of the roadway. That done, the party resumed. It was a fundraiser for selector Gary Chunks, who now needs support to walk after a recent stroke. By evening, the venue was swarming with patrons, but persons insist the support would have been better if the event was held at night.
Most of the promoters then go work and have to come in by 7, 8. I don't know the traffic on the road, hold them up so they can come in about 9, 10.
The days are hot, and people love to dance, so that precludes dancing, because nobody not going to stand up in the sun to dance, nobody not going to stand up in the sun to drink.
An idea, it does feel like say you go on the beach. You're not even feel to dress up that much, and that's not right. Everybody want to look flawless.
I party anytime, morning, noon, and night. From the party I go on, me support the party.
But not all events can be easily switched to daytime.
On Tuesday night time, we just keep a party, Snapchat Tuesday. It took on for 1 year, very successful, and never stop keep it.
With keeping events, you can't just merge or just leave, go to our next year to keep an event. Because it's like you're going somewhere where nobody not really know you.
I can't glad my cousin get a day and ruin the song. And he go lock it up and say, no, get her in. And them started 9 night find her even. Till the police them find it. As the police them find it, I hate that.
They're urging the authorities not to downplay the importance of entertainment events in keeping people away from crime, arguing that the early curfews could worsen the crime situation.
Me there event already and I country me there. And when the event done and I go home, man stop me and man say, here what happened? Say me and a boy have something. And believe me, I go film, And I pass together and the music, I just love the vibe, I love the music. I just party and go back home and it's like I just feel way much better. Him say, boy, I even forgive the person didn't know, say, he might come back to take revenge or whatever them have.
I'm sure if my bartender have a gun, she'll go look for go rob somebody now where she wanted. You understand? It's still a bit more criminal. Because people in need.
The state of emergency in St. Catherine should end in July, but business persons are worried about a further extension.
Probably any extent for next 2 or 3 months, I'm going to have to close on the business.
I lose and I think more than twice now if I leave the country.
The police say they may reconsider the curfew times, but until that happens, residents are suggesting a
Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease is a life-threatening lung disease that interferes with normal breathing. The primary cause of COPD is cigarette smoking.
Symptoms is difficulty in breathing, they're easily tired, they get a lot of colds, pneumonia, they're more prone to getting pneumonia. And they get very, very short of breath.
Consultant surgeon and family physician Dr. Winston Dawes says the condition affects men and women almost equally. Dr. Dawes says the disease can lead to complications such as lung cancer and heart problems and may progressively lead to death.
What happens is that when people smoke or they have toxins in the environment, it damages the lungs, the airways, starting from the trachea, the bronchi, and the smaller airways, and also what I call the alveoli, which is where oxygen and carbon dioxide are exchanged between the atmosphere and the blood.
Although it can be treated with medication, prevention is key.
Prevention, the first one is taking care of yourself. Don't smoke. And don't be around people who smoke, because secondary smoke is also dangerous. So a lot of people think that because they don't smoke, they're safe. And a lot of people who used to go to nightclubs where people smoked, that they have damaged their lungs.
With your health report, I'm Shamela Mitchell wishing you good health.
Health Report is brought to you by
Good Care OptiPro 3 has the quality and quantity of proteins to help your baby build a strong foundation for future health.
A reminder that our current affairs program, All Angles, is at 8:30 this evening, and Dion Jackson-Miller is here with a preview. Dion?
Thank you so much, Doreen. And guess what? We are talking sports this evening on All Angles. We're talking about the new controversial rules being introduced by the IAAF in relation to female athletes with high levels of testosterone. Are the rules racist? Are they sexist? And will they have any impact on our own middle distance runners here in Jamaica? Talking about all those issues on All Angles coming up at 8:30 right after primetime news. Right now, it's back to you.
Thank you, Dion. Very interesting. And we now go to Archie at the Smart Board for comments from those on social media. Archie?
Thanks, Lorraine. Here's our question this evening. We're asking, do you think the government should implement a state of emergency in Westmoreland? And we're asking folks to give reasons for their answer. Here's the first comment. The raid crimes going on now. The entire island needs a lockdown and call for overseas help. Call out all retired police officers. Also, the military and reserves need to stop now getting out of hand. Second comment, no, you can't just implement a state of emergency every time there's a little upsurge in crime. States of emergency take a lot of resources and manpower. What is the rest of the island going to do when so many states of emergency are implemented? What we need is an effective crime plan. Here's a third comment. The entire 14 parishes need a state of emergency without notice, says that person. And here's the final comment for this section. I certainly think they should. Anywhere in Jamaica that shows an escalation in criminal activity deserves to be in a state of emergency. Keep your comments coming on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/TelevisionJamaica and your tweet to @TelevisionJam. This is news and news from overseas. After the break, please stay tuned.